This trip was going to be unlike anything I had ever experienced before. It was my first backcountry ski hut trip. Not only that, but I was tagging along on a friend's trip. I only knew one guy, my buddy Mike. These were his friends, Chad, Rudy, and DJ. And this wasn't their first rodeo, if you couldn't tell by the broccoli we were bringing to the backcountry on this trip. The trip was planned for 3 days and 2 nights at the hut. The Tagert Hut sits deep in the mountains near Aspen, requiring a 5-mile ski tour just to reach it. Fortunately for us, we were able to stick to the snow-covered summer roads for a majority of the skin to the hut, making our lives so much easier. Of course, we still had to be cautious with the massive slide pass that we had across the entire way up Pearl Pass. By the end of the tour, the heavy packs filled with ski gear, clothes, food, snacks, beer, and wine definitely began to take its toll.
I don't know if I've ever been this happy to see a hut. I'm exhausted. Oh, right here. We made it!
Yeah! Reaching the hut was an unbelievable relief for all of us. The hut was incredibly cozy, that is, once we got the fire going in the wood-burning stove.
Yeah.
How was it?
Can't DJ, my gloves, my pole.
After getting all the firewood cut for the night, we settled into the hut. DJ made the group a massive dinner to bring the spirits back to life. And after we were all full and stuffed from the food, we played cards well into the night. That thermometer didn't lie. It was frigid the next morning, down to 0 degrees. But thankfully, that high in elevation, combined with Colorado's dry air and strong sun, it barely felt below 30, especially when we got moving in the morning.
Looking at Chad's board, it's like, I don't have time to make one.
I've done that.
We headed out from the hut with the objective to ski something safe off of Pearl Pass. First things first, we dug a couple of pits on the north-facing aspects that we knew we were going to be skiing. The pits didn't tell us much that we hadn't already known. The snow was very stable, but if it released all the way down to the massive facets next to the ground.
Get a shower. Sugar. Look at that.
Armed with that knowledge, we charged on uphill, into a zone with some mellow terrain. Looking around us, the views were absolutely breathtaking. Utah simply just doesn't have this massive of a range, so Mike and I were constantly appreciating the expanse of Colorado's Elk Range. Once the group finally reached the ridge that is Pearl Pass, we transitioned and headed back down the way we came through the low-angle terrain. It wasn't the best turns of my life, but man, it sure was some of the most remote I've ever made.
Where you like punch through.
Definitely coal plants in this film.
That was the best yet.
After that, we headed back up for a second lap, but this time we planned to ski the trees that were sitting right above the hut. This turned out to be one of the best moves of the weekend, finding stashes of powder throughout the woods, and it was amazing skiing. Of course, skiing back to the hut is easily the coolest part.
Dude! I went for the launch.
We hung out in the warm sun all afternoon on the hut's front porch. In the process, making friends with some of the local wildlife.
Here you go.
Then a little while later, we got our boots back on and headed uphill for a few more turns.
Yeah, were you just kicking into it?
Then, after dinner, we got the group to commit to one more lap. This time, the only thing we had to eliminate our skiing was the full moon above and the headlamps on our head. The cabin really never did the moon justice with how bright it really was. And as for the downhill, we chose to ski through the trees again, because we really couldn't stop skiing through all that powder. Too bad my GoPro battery didn't last because of the cold. It was pretty neat skiing through the trees at night.
And there is a road.
The next morning, we finally had to wish Tagert Hut farewell. And skied back to our lives and reality waiting for us at the trailhead. This time, the packs felt lighter, and we skied all the way back to the trucks without having to put our skins on once. Well, I guess that was only true for some of us. I'll never forget this trip. The skiing, the food, the nonsense, and the mountains. I can't wait for the next one.